You're listening to Dead Air Podcast, part of splatterpictures.net.
What's up, everybody? Wes, Dead Air Knife here with always
Typical Lydia.
Today's show, we're going to be doing the 2018 modern day classic Hellfest. Ding!
What was the ding for?
When the strongman mallet hitting the head hits the bell.
Oh, I thought that you were going to hum Pop Goes the Weasel, which is my least favorite part of the show.
That was going to be it, and then I thought better of it. And gang, I don't mean to dedicate so much of the show constantly recently to what sound I'm going to do at the beginning of the episode. But yes, I thought better of it, and I wanted to do the ding because here's why I wanted to do the ding. Because I'm so impressed with the order of deaths in this movie. Really surprised me. So I wanted to give that moment its due.
It is a great moment, and even once I realized that I did, in fact, have seen this movie, and we do own it, which was great because I was worried about where I was going to find it. Yeah, like
It's so funny.
ridiculous. But I remembered it once Chris reminded me what the movie was about. I was like, oh yeah, that's that one where, much like Haunt, I really enjoyed the characters and the group of people and the age ranges, and it wasn't apparent ages. We were not going to suffer here from 18-year-olds playing like adults or adults playing 18-year-olds. Everyone looks the right age. Everyone fits within their character. The characters seem to fit together as far as a group of friends, and they're all fairly likable enough. And I enjoyed all of them, and the kills aren't like just fodder. It's not like we're looking for bonus bodies. The bonus bodies make sense in this, if like what bonus bodies there are. The backstory isn't long and drawn out, and it's totally believable, and they don't campfire story it at all. They sort of blurt it out haphazardly as an afterthought for a moment, and it's passed off as urban legend. I like that. And yeah, the order of the deaths and the fact that there's not that scene of the friend that's going missing is being accused of being the person that is perpetrating the thing that's scaring them. The person who's missing, that's obviously dead, isn't the person that's being blamed for stalking them. And they don't pull that trick where the person who isn't around, that it all happens off screen and we, the audience, think that they might be the person that's creeping them out. We have proof that it's not. So I really do like the way that this is all written.
Me too. I really think that there was an opportunity to really fall into a lot of cliches. And there's something about this film that both seems modern and also a throwback, but not to a throwback to the good old golden era of slashers, the 1980s, where I wallow like a pig in the weirdest, most obscure entries into the genre. By the way, follow me on TikTok because we're doing 31 of them. So
31 of them, yeah. 31 for 31 at the Horror Historian.
That's right.
When you said throwback, have you seen the throwback trailer for Hellfest?
No, I've not.
Oh, you would love it. We watched it this morning because I'd heard about it on a short podcast because I wanted to get to know the writer of this a little better and hear his opinion on Hellfest and learn a bit about it. And he mentioned the throwback trailer that CBS Pictures put out is cut like a Grindhouse trailer, like an 80s slasher, more so like an 80s slasher. It's fucking great. Highly recommend it, Wes. It will make you want to watch it all over again.
Well, I'm excited to hear about that, honestly. Like, there's even looking at the special features of the Blu-ray that I have, it all just seems like an early 2000s, mid 2000s horror film that you just don't see this exact aesthetic very often, because a lot of times people are paying homage to slashers from decades ago, whereas this is more just a couple of decades ago, or maybe even 1 decade ago. And I really like that aspect to the film. I came across Hellfest, like so many other people did, online, where I would see the tile. It's very intriguing. You have a masked, hoodied man in front of a big Ferris wheel, but I never paid it too much mind. That wasn't until I had seen a review of it online, and I said, oh, this actually sounds really interesting. And so I wanted to check it out. Don't you worry, don't you fret. I saw the tile on some streaming service, Lydia. I'm sure it's still there. Well, I couldn't find it whatsoever. So I went to Amazon and, yeah, $20. I'll buy the Blu-ray. And I ended up buying it and watching it. And it was far, far more of a straight up slasher than it was even described in the interview that I saw. So I was really excited and thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't love it as much as I loved a film like Haunt. And the reason why I'm even bringing up Haunt is because not only was that a film that you introduced me to, that I enjoyed thoroughly because of the aesthetic and taking place in a haunt. But so does this. And I thought, maybe just being compared to Haunt is kind of unfair. But then when you settle in and look at how this film is subverting so many expectations, I really got to give this film props, that even though I maybe technically didn't enjoy it as much as Haunt, I respect the hell out of this movie for really, really having a lot of trust in its audience, which you don't see very often.
Very true. And I think that this movie came out just before Haunt.
Oh.
A year or two, maybe. And it would have taken the place of Haunt entirely as the new subversive movie that takes place in a haunt that isn't found footage. I love Hell House, and I love Houses October Built. Obviously, we've done those on the show and talked about them quite a bit. I love that found footage haunt in a haunt kind of thing, horror. I love that shtick. I like this. There's something wrong with the haunt actors feeling. Haunt dials that up to 11. In here, in this, we have someone has infiltrated the haunt, it seems. So I really like that scary idea. Like, if we went to Saunders Farm and something terrible was happening behind the scenes, would we notice? And I like that's a question that a lot of these movies put forth. And it's not like Strangers, like The Houses October Built, where they're like cross-country stalking people, which is terrifying, but it's terrifying in a very different way. And the way that they have us go through the haunt in a way in those movies is a little different too. We get a lot more back rooms, where this doesn't take us into the back rooms as much, and it doesn't like explain how every gag is done. We feel more like we're going through a haunt by watching this movie. So I really liked that. I just had to check and see if Walmart let this fly on the shelves with Hellfest as the title, and it did, and I was surprised, because so many other movies that mention hell have different titles in Walmart. But yeah, it didn't get the same sort of love that we're going to give to it today. Apparently, it did good in the box office. It made good returns. It doubled its money or more, but it's got like a really low Rotten Tomatoes rating, really low, and Metacritic extremely low, like 35 on Metacritic or something. And it would sound like no one liked it. And I wasn't sure why. Like, do you know, have you ever looked at some of the criticism online of this movie? Do you think it's a bad movie, Wes?
No, I've never really looked at any of the criticism online. My take on things like Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes is it's not very favorable. And I understand in today's workaday world where we are crippled by choice, there's so much content that not only is being made, has been made, but is now available to us 24/7, 365. You could spend your entire life watching a horror movie a day, 2 horror movies a day, 5 a day, and you still would not watch everything. And so, on top of having a job, needing to sleep, maybe you have kids, and maybe you have a partner, a million other things that you need to do with your day. I just want to know if this movie's worth my time. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, fuck it, fine. I'll take a shot. Maybe I'll like it too. It's when the culture becomes these metrics are an end all be all to represent a film's quality. Because remember, criticism has changed and it has become this homogenous thing where you're telling me a percentage on Rotten Tomatoes. Who are these people? Who are these critics? And you could dive in and look at the names of the contributors to these metrics, but for the vast majority, you're looking at a number, and a number does not represent anything. However, that long ass preface for that question, could I imagine why people don't like this movie? Absolutely. I think, in fact, I'm fairly certain, maybe not 100%, but I do think that the abrasive nature of our group of friends is very off-putting. 1. 2, you, me, lots of people like when not a lot is explained, but lots of people don't. Lots of people want the who, why, when, where. And this film is not going to give you that. You know, by the end of the film, I was watching this with Cassandra and they had said, wow, no face reveal. And I said, what would the point of it would be like that meme of like pulling off the Flash's mask and Lex Luthor, who's in Flash's mind, being like, I have no idea who this is. Because we would have no, like, who cares if we know what his face looks like? We don't. Yeah. We can recognize this man by his shoes, Lydia, more than we could recognize him by his face.
And it wouldn't be, unless it was somebody specific. I keep wanting to see Russ McKamey from McKamey Manor, who has been in the news again because his girlfriend this time charged him with forcible confinement and all sorts of terrible things. He runs the most extreme of extreme haunts, McKamey Manor. He's been in the news numerous times. People have tried to falsely claim they own it just to get under his skin, because he gets under the skin of the people that go to that haunt. It is an extreme haunt. I'm not going to get into if you want to know more about McKamey Manor and what an extreme haunt where people might die and sign waivers for a real reason. I would have loved for it to be Russ McKamey, or I would have liked the guy playing the cop in this to be Russ McKamey, because that would have been a deep cut for haunt fans and extreme haunt fans that would have like rattled us, but it would have been just so niche. It wouldn't have really worked. But that's about the only face under there. I mean, it may be Eli Roth. I don't know. That would be funny too. But it would have to be something like that. Very tongue-in-cheek. Very meme-ish. Very inside joke for that to work at all. So I like the end of it. I also do like Cass's response, because I think that's what they were going for.
Cassie was fun to watch this with because they got super into it and like shouting at the TV at some point because some of the characters they couldn't wait for them to die.
And they make the characters do make some dumb decisions, and not dumb decisions that make you hate them, but dumb decisions like horror movie dumb decisions. You know, like go back this way. I'm gonna go forward. You should go forward. I'm gonna go back this way. That kind of stuff.
Or
it happens.
Or I think this is the exit, and they enter a ride. I couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, yeah, how many times have you been like, oh, hey, let's leave Canada's Wonderland? I think the Behemoth, I think that's how we get out. Like,
or like, I'm going to steal a toy. So I'm going to go in this back room and now I'm going to go shopping. I'm not just going to grab the toy and run because I'm a horrible thief doing something bad. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to like, and ha about all my selections. Like you're in a spot that's restricted access and you are.
The doll thing, we'll get into that at the point when we get to that point in the story, because that's one of the weirdest aspects of the film where I get it, but it's very flimsy. I wish you could come up with something better to separate characters than something like that, and I'll get into why, but fuck all that, Lydia. What is this movie even about anyways?
It's about blind trust, I think. You can't, blindly trust corporations, businesses to have your best interests at heart. And you can't trust anyone on Halloween night.
Particularly since there's going to be an individual that treats this haunt as his own personal purge. This film will open up and we have ourselves a haunt goer that ain't impressed with it, Lids. This takes me all the way back to 1992. There I am at Saunders Farm, Lids. And I'm wearing a very distinct jean jacket, and it had the sort of fleecy white lamb, almost like wool interior to it. So it was like a fall jean jacket. And I remember going through the creepy old house at Saunders Farm, and this gnarled woman and hunched over in a witch costume said, pointing her finger at me, "Are you scared, mister?" And I, with my hands in my pockets, said, "No." And I would have been killed had I been going to Hellfest, because that seems to be the level of which you are targeted in this place year by year. If what I'm supposed to believe this film is telling me, people are killed on a yearly basis at this Hellfest where bodies are discovered, and yet they act like it doesn't happen. Almost as ridiculous as people continuously trying to open up Hell House. I'm glad by the fourth one, they decided that maybe we can't have a random person try to open up this haunt attraction that people by the dozens die in almost yearly.
I am fine with the suspension of disbelief that these haunted attractions, traveling or otherwise, can just be people traps and just purge. It's someone's personal purge, or the haunted house itself, in the case of Hell House. I kept forgetting that this was supposed to be a traveling haunt because it's so big, it's so vast, it's so established. These haunts are elaborate, and there's no way I could believe. Well, there's two things I could not believe in this film, and it's not about the writing, it's just haunts in general, that it's so big and established and yet it's a traveling show. And B, there's no children or families there. And Chris has worked, my husband, numerous haunts, and he's gone to more haunts than I have. And I asked him, like, is it weird that there's no kids or family? Like, is there not kids and families running around every single haunt? Isn't every haunt ruined, in my estimation, by these kids and families running around, or they're like special nights or certain cutoffs. And he's like, no, like every haunt, there's always kids and families running around. There's some haunts that aren't geared for the younger crowd. And there's some haunts that they strongly urge people under 18 don't go on. But there's still family areas and haunts within the haunt designed for families and kids. So they are in the park. And not once in this film do you see 14 kids and a mom and dad and a stroller.
Yeah, like those double wide strollers that obnoxiously take up way more space than they ought to.
Or two parents in the beer tent and 7 kids running around causing absolute havoc and screaming.
When we are introduced to our killer, we are introduced to a deviled masked man who stalks and kills this woman who is complaining that he has been following her throughout the course of this her excursion into this haunt, and she does not make it. And we cut to what is now this year's haunt. This was the previous year's haunt. We don't know if it's supposed to be last year or a couple of years ago. They mention it briefly that a body was found hung in this area, but honestly, the scene goes by so fast. And then we're introduced to Natalie. Nat is returning to hang out with her friend Brooke, an adorable couple of friends who just want to have a good time. Apparently, she was visiting them over summer, and now they're here for October because they want to go and, chill out, have some drinks, go to this haunt. And local boy Gavin even made sure that Natalie has a ticket because they hung out at summer and he thought she was pretty. It's adorable. But that's not, this is the first bit of subversion that I think I want to address, because you would think that this dynamic of Natalie, Gavin, and Brooke could possibly be where our main focus of our story is going to be. And if I'm being completely honest, I just assumed that it was probably going to be Natalie and Gavin who are going to be the primary focus, their relationship. We've seen this 1,000 times. We got a final girl, we got a sweet boy. That doesn't necessarily mean sweet boy is going to live, but it definitely means that, look at it in a violent nature. Sweet boy, he made it for a while. There's a monkey wrench in this thing, and that's Taylor, the most obnoxious person I could possibly imagine being.
And she's putting the monkey right in monkey wrench, isn't she?
Holy crap, she is outrageous. The most outrageous thing is the fact that we're led to believe that, at least from appearances, this character is supposed to be straight later in the film. I'm like, is this not at least a pansexual? Like, but the point is Taylor does not like Natalie. Natalie decided, because Taylor didn't like her first, that they don't like them. And Brooke's the person in the middle that's like, and to the point in which the balls on somebody to come into your friend's house, see somebody else, and no ifs, ands, or buts, what's she doing here? Like, immediately. And like the waspiness in me, my pearls started clutching. I was just so, who says that? You're saying your feelings out loud? That's not what waspy people do, Lydia.
I enjoy Taylor so very much. And they get over their ridiculous schoolyard feud kind of stuff to the point that they do go places together. And this is obviously, it seems to me, not the first time they've been in this situation where they're going on a group outing and the two girls that don't like one another are there. They don't come to blows, and they would, put one another out if they were on fire at the very least. But yeah. I like Taylor probably because in high school I knew a really cool dude named Tim And I think, to your point, that how is she supposed to be straight? I think she's that third gender we rarely encounter in nature, the stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
These are people that should have been stand-up comedians. They are drama kids that came out of the womb with a badum tiss and a yuck, yuck, yuck. Like, that is what they are. They are show people.
Oh, yeah.
They are on 11 all the time. They bounce out of bed like Tigger, and they are wonderful things. Their tops are made out of rubber, and their bottoms, guess what, buddy? They're made out of springs. And they are stand-up comedians, born and bred. And it's just a shame that they aren't on a stage somewhere and under a hot light just tearing it up.
Eventually, big theater kid energy. Like that, like you really hit the nail on the head. And interestingly enough, I got to see in real time Cassie being against Taylor, not liking them, and spitting venom. Cassie can be mean, guys.
I don't believe it.
Spitting venom at this character, and then by the end of it, we're like rooting for her. So I was like, you know what? That's a good magic trick movie. I think that if I were to look at these characters' dynamics, it's this mild dirge of aggression, sniping at each other. Taylor's not hesitant to throw, basically like calling Natalie just a big wiener, right? That's what it kind of comes down to. Like the person who doesn't really want to participate, the person who's in the group, but kind of through body language, through action, letting you know that they would kind of rather be somewhere else. And there's even like which comes to be an asset later, an over intellectualizing the area that they are. So she's not really having fun. She's just analyzing everything around her. And that, we know, Lydia, from the opening shot, is going to make Natalie a target. There are other characters, but they're honestly so abrasive. Quinn and was it Asher?
Yeah, Asher. Who we don't really spend any time with them. They don't really matter. They may as well not really exist.
Like honestly, like Asher seems like the type of dude that would, like, as a prank, put his balls on your face. Like I always just like don't entirely understand group dynamics like this, or even boys that behave this way. Maybe I'm just too much of a fussy, like why are you being so rowdy? Even in my rowdiest, I would never be that rowdy. And gang, let me tell you this. These guys are so fucking happy to be at this haunt. Holy shit. You've never seen a group of people more excited to be at a haunt. They're in the entranceway. They're not even really in the haunt, and they are losing their fucking minds. They're so excited to be there.
It's wonderful stuff. And that's one thing, I wouldn't want to be in their friend group, because I would probably be on the outside like Natalie and just being like, I'll step a foot away from these people because they're like embarrassing. I would be enjoying the haunt. Of course, I wouldn't want to be somewhere else. But yeah, I wouldn't mind these people being ahead of me by a few groups in a haunt because I'll know what's coming, because they will react to it. Guaranteed. The only other hype man I've seen for a haunt before was in House of a Thousand Corpses, coming out of the dark ride screaming Dr. Satan, because that is the level of energy that these people have. They're all very believable. They're not people I'd want to hang out with necessarily, but yeah, really believable friend group.
And again, like I'll stop evoking Cassie. I'm gonna give her a mic one day, but there were so many times in which, and they are much younger and more closer in age to these characters. So there was so many times that they said, I've literally had that exact conversation. That's a real conversation. That's how girls talk when it's just them. And so like the writing seems on par, and if I find it not to my taste in terms of how these characters behave, I would never claim that people don't behave this way. So it's just I'm old and I'm quiet, so I don't really it didn't really hit me in a way that I was like, this is really enjoyable. But I think the extreme of being the strong silent type might be a little much too, because we have another guest at Hellfest, and we can assume who it might be because we're going to get a hoodie, a back of a head, and some construction boots. He's got some steel toes on, and this is actually going to be a really interesting indicator to who this character is, because there is another element to when this guy enters the park and he looks around and he's constantly clenching his fist, and you're asking, okay, so he has re-entered his hunting ground. We know this because of how the film set us up. But what we're not entirely sure is why he might be doing this. Does he work here? Does he not work here? Does this Hellfest come to the same location every year? It's traveling. Does he travel along with it whenever it's close-ish and it's the right time of year? We don't know anything. This guy is a fucking mystery, and eventually he will slip on a mask. The mask is an interesting choice. It was actually, according to the production team, it was inspired by death masks from the 1920s, Halloween masks, the paper mache ones that you would see. I don't know why I said mache so weird. Paper mache ones that you would see in old photos, or even if we were to take it to cinema, films that people have probably seen, the kids on the bus on Trick or Treat. They're inspired by older Halloween masks, homemade. It has this yellowish tint that reflects a lot of different types of light. So it's a really interesting mask. Now, if I had an initial criticism about this film, I'd be like, look at the elaborate costumes of everyone at this Hellfest. The production value of this haunt is insane. This is like tens of millions of dollars of equipment, costuming, paying all of these people. This is a massive endeavor. This is the Walmart of haunts. And then you got this guy in a hoodie. Thankfully, they make that make sense shortly after into the film. But here's a weird thing, Lids. If you were going to a haunt to kill, because he is definitely looking for people who don't like haunts, who are at the haunt anyways. This ain't a guy that brings his weapons from home. He's relying on finding weapons in the park.
There's a few points in this where I'm like, they wouldn't just have all this weaponry, or we would assume all this weaponry would be plastic, fake, dull. I'm going to turn to Chris in a conversation that we had while watching this film a couple times. And because he's worked more haunts than I've not worked haunts, but I've only gone to a few. And I will say, as an aside, I've never had this like group haunt experience too. So I kind of do, I guess, not get the dynamics of hyped up screaming teenagers at a haunt, because I've never been in this situation myself. But I asked him, like, would they have this sort of weapon in this condition just hanging around as a prop? And he's like, well, maybe like old farm equipment, maybe something like the old scythe I have, stuff that you have at the cottage. Maybe that would be incorporated into a haunt, but probably for insurance reasons, I think it would be bolted in, nailed down, dulled intentionally, or something out of reach, like just as an aesthetic, way up high, not like at arm's length where you can just grab fucking weapons. I like that they do metal detect this guy who's wearing steel toe boots, and the metal detector goes off. So I'm like, well, obviously he has knives in his boots, because like, duh. But Chris again said, well, it's not an airport, so they can't make him take his boots off. And before anyone says, why would someone wear steel toe boots around at night walking at a leisurely pace? My sister probably would, because she spends so much time in her fucking steel toe boots that they are comfortable little slippers.
Depending on the time of year, I'm always wearing steel toes. I just don't have steel toes are expensive for starters. So there's my shoe budget. If you want to know, like, I have $300 steel toes. That's my boots. I don't know what to tell you. And if you ask, like, do your feet get sore? Sometimes, but it's fine because they're also expensive.
Other people's feet get sore too if you wear the same shoes.
So I would think that when it comes to, there's one scene in which I love how our killer finds the one real axe in this entire maze, and they're like, this is all fake. And I'm like, so this is like a $75 fireman's axe. Like, why is this just here? And I was like imagining, like, if they were to have something real like that in the haunt itself, I would imagine they would wire it down. Like, there would be like, like those fairly strong wires twisted around just to secure it, because this is a place where there's tons of people of all age ranges. You're serving alcohol. There's definitely people who are on drugs, and it's dark and chaotic, and there's things jumping out at you. The place itself is designed to make you erratic and nervous and to get inside your head. So everything that you're walking through on the floor should be plastic or foam. There's a lot of ways to make that stuff realistic. And they also don't seem to shy away from things looking not realistic. There's plenty of costumes and props that look like you could get it at Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, there's a scene way later where there's a very creepy room with lots of mannequins and stuff and creepy sounds, and everything looks creepy and cool. But then there's this like zombie baby in a bassinet that looks like something you bought at Spirit. It does not look like haunt level creepy realistic stuff. It's like plastic crap. So there was a mix of that, and I really wish there was a little more of a ramping up in scares. So we go from like almost childish circusy scares to really drop dead serious, because there is a point in this haunt apparently where you need a waiver, and up until the middle point we haven't assigned a waiver. We're not going to find like real weapons as readily, but he still manages to. The jump scares in this I really like. I was listening to one of the writers, the main writer, Sherwood, Mr. Sherwood. What's his first name? Seth Sherwood. He wrote Leatherface as well, and he's worked on other things. That Light as a Feather series, if you've watched. I think it's a Netflix thing. Anyhow, him talking about it. And some of the criticism from horror dude bros, as he puts it, was that, well, this movie is just going to be a bunch of jump scares. And he rightfully points out that it is also a movie that it takes place in a haunt, which is designed to be jump scares. There are so many jump scares in a haunt. Like, that's what a haunt does. If you've not gone to a haunt, prepare yourself for some jump scares, because that's the bread and butter. In fact, while filming this, they would run the actors through the scene, and that involves jump scares in a lot of it. Like, if you like haunts, I would highly recommend this movie, because it is like going through a haunt. It's fun. It's super fun that way. But there are a lot of like jump scares. And so they'd run the scene a couple times and they'd be like, okay, the actor's going to come out here, scare actor here, scare actor here. Do it again. Scare actor here, here, and here. Here, here, and here. And then they'd move one of them or introduce another one. So a lot of the jump scares we see the actors portraying are real, because they had put in that extra scare actor to give them the jump scare when they didn't expect it. And it works very well, because there is a lot of the very realistic jump scares of like, God damn it, don't you got me kind of thing. And I really, really appreciate that in the early scenes of this, when they're just getting their horror juices flowing. It takes you a bit to really settle into a haunt.
A comment that I will make about the use of jump scares in this film that I really want to emphasize to our listeners who are thinking about watching this movie. I think that there are two things going on simultaneously in this picture. One is the haunt itself. The haunt is your ooky spooky jump scare horror. And you are meant to be thrilled and entertained by that. And then they splice in your horror movie. That is when we introduce this oppressive, stalking character of the other. I like that. It's like the shape. It's this
right up there with the shape.
It's this nebulous concept of a person with a dead mask. And when they introduce this character, they don't ever, to my recollection, really give him a jump scare until we're also simultaneously using the jump scares in the haunt itself. The other does not participate in jump scares. The other is in the distance, silhouetted, in the shadows, looking at you, walking slowly, putting his finger to his lips to tell you to be quiet. He will look at you. He will slowly follow you. He looks half asleep, disinterested. And that tension, that menace comes from a very horrifying place of the anxiety coming from feeling stalked more than an idea of somebody jumping out at you. It's not that he doesn't want you to see him until you die. It's that he doesn't care if you see him or not, because you're not getting away. And I think that, look at the scene where Natalie is stuck on the ride and she can't move. This character is in the distance and he's just walking towards her. All of the energy and fear and mania is coming from her, and he is this dead thing walking towards her. No emotion, no sudden movements. He doesn't need to do anything. And even when he's walking away from people, he's still not necessarily concerned at all with anything. This guy's presence continuously reminded me of Bagman from The Strangers. And one of the most iconic jump scares ever in horror that people praise up and down is Bagman's introduction into the Stranger franchise, where, Liv Tyler is looking away, and, we all know this scene. He steps into the door frame and then walks away. And that scares people to their core. And I think that this operates on the same level. But I think what people are forgetting is the jump scares that exist in this film aren't meant to scare you, the viewer. They're meant to startle the characters in the film. The real fear is coming from the other and his methodic approach to you.
Yeah, like this reverse jump scare, which we can point to. I like your Bagman illustration of the way that this guy carries himself. Much better than me just continuously going to Michael Myers, because if there was another person that behaved like Bagman and Michael Myers, we would use that person, because it is very much like Michael Myers. Like, the fear that they're going to show up is the tension, not your distraction being the tension. And they don't pop up. It's them already being there and you're not expecting it. The biggest jump scare in this film, for me anyway, is one of those moments where they're already there. He is literally just standing there. He's not doing anything. He wasn't suddenly there. He was already there. I suddenly noticed him. That was the problem. And Michael Myers pulls that lots in the franchise, where, you close the fridge door. There he is. He was standing there for 5 fucking minutes. He didn't pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I like the reverse jump scare a lot better. It's way more effective. It's used rarely. And the person they cast for this, I don't know much about this guy. I don't even have his name up because I'm lazy today. But he is like a Navy SEAL. And that's why he carries himself so well, like a very highly trained paratrooper Navy SEAL would. He's very still, very quiet, very built. He looks a very capable gentleman. And I think that's part of the fear too, is that he is a quick, stealthy, well-built individual that none of us stand a chance up against, especially not in my doughy 5'2" state. Much like the not doughy girl that we first get introduced to, some actress with no name, no character name, but a few lines like, You don't scare me. Get out of my way. The same person that we know he fucking hates. And we know that she is contestant number one. She bumps into him in the haunt. She has a stripy shirt on. That's all we know about her, is that she doesn't like haunts, doesn't think he's scary, thinks that he should get the hell out of her way, fucking shoulder checks him, and goes on into a haunt where he promptly follows.
Yeah, and that's where you get this sense of a whole other movie is happening again and again. It's almost like if we were to go back to the film Haunt, we see a character get killed in front of everybody that they think is all part of the show. And we just know that that was just the people who went into the haunt before them. That was, and now the movie is what they're experiencing. When this stripy shirt woman finally bumps into Natalie, there's a really, I really dig this scene about the other. By the way, Stephen Conroy is the actor that played the other. And
okay, thanks.
He is toying with this victim who, by the way, Natalie dimes out. It's like she's hiding right there, drags her out. This woman screaming and begging for help. Nat thinks it's all part of the show, but there's something just a little off-putting about it. There's something that she is not entirely sure if this is part of the show or not. You could see her kind of working with it, and the hesitant way that Natalie, Amy Forsyth, the actor that plays Natalie, says, just do it. Like, just do it. Like, because the other is sort of like, you know, he's not being like Snidely Whiplash, but he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Like she's at the same time bored with it, but also we've seen Natalie intellectualize this haunt, and we've seen her like look to their hands. We can tell who the actors are and who are actually mannequins, or look to this. Like, she's recognized the patterns of which closets are going to have actors jumping out at you. Not, she's like, hey, look, not here, but here, boom, here's an actor, boom, here's an actor. And so she's like essentially like ruining the fun, right? She's
beaten the haunt. She's figured it all out.
Yeah.
She won't be scared.
And people like this do exist. And I think it's how everybody just deals with their anxiety, and they don't like the unexpected. And so they just intellectualize things out of existence. And I think that there's the other wants you to lose yourself in the haunt and really like Halloween. And he doesn't like it when you don't like Halloween. So he picks up on this, and she's not as rude as Striped Sweater Girl, but she's pretty rude. And the weird thing about it is, like, Natalie doesn't seem this rude all the time, whereas Stripey Sweater Girl just doesn't want to fucking be there. I don't know if someone dragged her along or if she just got dumped or what, but like, she's had a bad day at school, but she is like not into this whatsoever. But when she finally dies, there is something, and you can see the look of when Natalie sort of looks at her as the life drains out of her face, and she is like, is this real? But then all of a sudden she looks around and there's somebody else who's been killed. It's a victim thing, and it's like part of the haunt. And there's this plausible deniability from all the characters being like, yeah, they're fucking with you. He's fucking with you because that's his job. His job is to fuck with you.
And we know that there's extreme elements to this haunt. At some point, we don't know. We haven't got there yet, but there are extreme elements to this of haunt. There are portions in this haunt where people can touch one another, and that rule is warped when you're dealing with actor on actor touching, and you don't know. Like, I've always liked haunts where you look off in the distance and you see someone being chased by a chainsaw, and you know that those are just actors out there, but you think, like, is that really real? Could that be really real? Is that really happening? And you want to believe that it is, right? And that's what makes a good haunt, really fun, is when you can look off in the distance and see fucked up shit. And this is that fucked up shit at her feet. But yeah, like, and there's another group of people coming in behind her. Her friends are out the door. She better catch up. And that's what breaks this scene. We do get the cherry on top of her looking back, second guessing herself, thinking, should I notify somebody in authority because it looks like that person really died? And there's the guy with the mask, holding his finger to his lips in a shushing motion, indicating that she better not tell, or this could be us, but you playing kind of feeling going on there. So they carry on through the haunt with Natalie feeling even more uncomfortable being there.
I really could put myself in her position. Do you know when you're trying to have a good time with your friends, but there's just something, you had a weird encounter, an argument, or something just kind of shook you a little bit and you can't get that out of your mind and you're trying to have a good time, but you start feeling this anxiety that something is not right. It's compounded by the fact that not only does she keep seeing this guy following her around, but she's also got herself a little bit of a burgeoning love interest, Lydia. And that gets the butterflies a going. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, don't roll your eyes. We were young once.
I'm rolling them.
We were young once. And I remember every cute boy that tried to win me a stuffed animal and was bad at it. But they do the picture booth stuff, and the other steals their photos, which is really creepy. They subvert your expectations. You think Brooke's going to get it because she goes after him and goes down these alleyways. I love how this haunt has like 5,000 people in it, but yet there's always like a nook and a cranny and a place in which it looks like it's completely fucking deserted, always at just the right time. But Brooke doesn't die. Her boyfriend pulls her back. And then eventually they're going to go to the real part of the haunt, the place in which the touching happens, Lydia. Now, not touching...
Like the photo booth.
And not the touching in the photo booth. She goes for it in that photo booth. But
I find it annoying because it's just like, oh my God, I don't care about your little makeout session. I really don't.
I liked it. I liked it because I'm a pervert. No, I liked it because I like watching characters fall in love and it all going so wrong because, man, let me tell you, Gavin is going to do something which is silly. I don't necessarily like this aspect of the script because, gang, let me tell you about the most important thing in life is when somebody likes you, don't worry about getting them a gift. Don't worry about feeling like less of a man because you're bad at the ring toss and everyone knows it. This person just wants to spend time with you. You don't need to separate yourself from the group to go and try to not even win a plush toy, but try to beg the carnival guy to give it to you as if that would work. It's ridiculous. Like even his argument, like, come on, man, I spent $50 here. I was like, do you know how many times a day that carnival worker hears that exact fucking line? Like, it's like a $5 plushie. They're cool plushies. I love these plushies. But I mean,
yeah, they're super cool. They're like Moody Vooties. If I want to shout out a place that makes custom plushies very similar to this that are horrific, Moody Vooties with a V.
Moody Vooties. Very interesting. I'm going to check that out actually because I would love to get myself a couple of things that remind me of these because I really dug them because I'm materialistic, but not so materialistic that I don't hear that when the new girl that you're crushing on is clearly indicating that she would rather spend time with you than get a plush toy, then the most important and valuable thing you can give that young lady is your time. And he doesn't do that. And we get our first kill very deep into this movie. I want to tell people that the pacing of the kills, it's a good thing that there's a couple of cannon fodder women at the beginning of the story because we're not going to get into, our group is going to survive a long time to the point in which I was shocked. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, so Gavin gets a kill. And let me tell you something. If you like our sweet, sensitive boy, just like, oh, golly gee, Nat, I sure would like to kiss your mouth. You are going to see him get his fucking trachea collapsed and then his stupid head absolutely obliterated by a giant mallet. It's great.
It is great. And this is where the ding of the intro comes from. And I really like the way they set up this kill because aside from my annoyance that he got into the back rooms, he found a whole thing full of stuffies. He's got the stuffy he wanted. Then he stops to pause and decide which one and takes up a bunch of time. And he isn't even like completely mouthy with the other when that guy shows up, but he does heft the weight of the huge mallet that is about to kill him. So it's a perfect foreshadowing right there, right before the Chekhov's gun goes off. But we have an idea that that mallet's too heavy for him because he goes to lift it and he's like, oh, that's heavy. And he puts it away. And then he goes and mulls over his choices with the stuffies. He should have just grabbed it and ran. He might have been alive today. But no, it's a pretty good, a little bit drawn out, which I like. It's not just like he got a mallet to the head. He does get some pretty realistic sounding, and it's acted so very wonderfully. Injuries to his trachea, which is a unique spin on the head crush. He sort of naturally gets his head in position on the strongman test.
It's so funny. It's like, he's like, oh, my throat. Oh, let me just put my head just so it's as dramatic and gross as humanly possible. I want the bell to ring when I die. I want the last thing that I hear. Be my mercy angel, the other.
But we know he's dead, and that's one thing I do like. This is what I was complaining about a little bit in the beginning, where a lot of other movies would cheap out here and make it like maybe he didn't die, maybe he's the one doing all this and all that stupid. Maybe they know each other. I don't know what stupid crap they could have written in here, but no, he's dead, and we know it. I really feel so bad for our main character Natalie going through this haunt alone because he left at a pivotal moment where he had just kind of made out with her, and they're also signing waivers to go into the place, the dark ride that takes you to the hell of Hellfest, and she's alone through all this.
I definitely, as much as they do a good job of showing Taylor slowly warming up to Natalie, as much as they do a good job of showing how defensive and really sweet Brooke and Natalie's friendship is. Like, they're very, very sweet to each other, and you can tell that they really love each other. And I believe these dynamics, even the death of Gavin is so brutal. And I think that the thing that I liked so much about it is we really did spend a lot of time with these characters before all of this. And it just, the viciousness of watching this guy's, they show it, gang. This is a graphic fucking kill. I mean, it's not like the longest gore shot in the world. Oh, by the way, I thought that this was CGI. It's practical.
Nice.
Yeah. Even one of the kills that later on that I was convinced was CGI, also practical. So they used all in camera effects to do all of this stuff. And, you know, this is the thing in which everyone is convinced, like Taylor and Asher for sure. Like, we're going on the trip. We want to go, like, blah, blah, blah. But like Brooke leaving her, I would have just been like, guys, like, come on. Like, can't you just wait? Can't you just get in line again? Like, this isn't fun for her. Like, you have to go on this ride. It's clearly a ride for, and you're all coupled off, and then you're making, because you guys can't wait. Like, I know Gavin's dead, but they don't know that. So you can't wait another 20 minutes or text him and be like, hey man, move your ass. We're here. You can't win her the plushie. Fucking forget it. Like, she's getting upset, and she's starting to feel unsure of herself. She's not having fun anymore. And they make her go in that thing. And then, but it does lead to like one of the best tension building scenes of the entire fucking movie. So I really, character wise, I really feel for Natalie, just like you do. But I mean, as a moviegoer, this rocks. It's really well done.
I had watched not long ago this really harrowing documentary about a dark ride gone really bad, and it was the dark ride catches on fire, and it's a train, terror train or something. I forget what the name of the documentary is, or the name of the ride was. Night train, ghost train, I think that might have been it. But it caught on fire and people died. It was really terrible, but this seems to be evocative of that, where there's something wrong with the ride and no one else seems to notice because it's one cart goes in and one cart goes out. If a cart is out, they just simply wait for the next cart. No other cart goes in till the other cart is out. So if there's a cart stuck in this dark ride and she starts screaming, people will be like, well, that's just maybe part of the show, right? Like if she's freaking out in there because it's scary too, right? But they don't know that the ride is down. They don't know there's other people in this ride. I really like having the other doing what he does best, standing off in the distance, not saying anything or doing anything or moving. And she's like, hello, how long is this going to last? How long is this going to be down? And he doesn't say anything at first. Oh, he doesn't say anything ever, but he does approach her and he does climb in with her. All the while, there's like this replay of Tony Todd's voice saying something like, welcome to hell, or whatever it is he's saying. And the red lights are flashing. Black and red, black and red. Very scary.
Very scary. He's got her just where he wants her. He's fucking with her. And this is one of the best reveals in the film because, all right, you look at all the elaborate costumes around. I'm sure that the haunt workers are aware that people, and you're probably not allowed to show up at the haunt wearing masks or costumes because you don't want to confuse other patrons that you're part of the show. So I said, certainly they would notice this one random dude that looks like just like a guy in a hoodie, but he's wearing a mask. They would probably be like, hey buddy, do you work here? Well, guess what? There's 15 other people in the haunt that have the exact same costume. So we know that the other has done his research and knows not only the type of costuming that is going to be going on in this haunt through its duration, but the most prominent and, shall we say, the costume that'll get him noticed the least.
And it is at that pivotal moment too, because if there's anyone else that has gone through the haunt and they're saying, hey, this guy is following us and he has this hoodie and this mask, they're like, oh yeah, they're not going to give it away. They're not going to be like, oh, those are the guys that you will meet when you get off the dark ride on your way to the hellish, most hellacious hell of Hellfest. Like that's the twist. Those are the guys. That's the shtick. That's what you signed the waiver for. This is when the haunt gets serious. So even if they did go run screaming and be like, oh, that guy with the mask and the hoodie, they'd be like, yeah, that's the guy that worked here. This is probably why any interactions with security up until this point have not been taken seriously. And also why the next interaction with security and my favorite reverse jump scare holds no water, because you got this Russ McKamey looking security guy being like, yeah, there's 15 guys dressed just like that. Like, that's what they do. The point is for them to crawl into the carts with the single riders. Their point is to loom and stare and be creepy. And I like when all of them come out once she gets out of the ride and she's literally losing her fucking mind and they're just standing there doing what they do best, looming.
There's this element too, as they're the haunt actors, they're probably feeling pretty good about themselves because that's what they're hired to do. And the people making this film had pointed out that, the culture of these haunt workers is once they see that you're reacting to them, that you're the person that's getting scared, you become a target. It made me think about, like, I wonder if they have maybe walkie-talkies, or if they're texting each other like, hey, yellow sweater, she's gonna freak out, go and scare her for sure. And the other has his way of sort of culling the herd if you're going to be a bummer at his cool haunt for cool dudes on Halloween.
It is the cool haunt for cool dudes. I like that. Yeah.
when the group goes further into this area and, we got the boys, they're getting split up. We got the ladies all together, and I like the trio of Taylor, Brooke, and sorry, I'm not talking about Quinn and Asher so much, but they're so fucking replaceable in my mind that I just don't care. Like, if you're talking about fucking padding, but there's like the Taylor, Natalie, and Brooke trio. Like I love to see these ladies together going through the haunt, like having a good time. You know, a lot of this movie is happening, and you kind of realize that, like, man, Gavin died a while ago. Even in the sense of the movie, you know, he's been gone for over an hour, and they're just like, oh well, we're still gonna have a good time. When finally we get to a situation in which the group has been divided again, and now we find ourselves with Asher by himself, and we finally know, oh shit, he's in a part of the maze. There's not a soul around. And we know that he is going to die. And holy shit, is this kill brutal?
It really truly is. And it is in one of those little areas that seem to be in this haunt that are soundproof, yet inches away from everyone else in the haunt, that are absolutely secluded, but just around the corner from the main attractions. It's very, very strange to me. Now, we've got the girls separate with Natalie going into the bathroom, which will be my most favorite scene.
When Natalie goes into the bathroom, that's where you have a good use of the cell phone. And it's always great when you don't have a sneaky writer thing like everyone, like in Haunt, like everyone give up your cell phone. The cell phone becomes a component of how this scare works. And there's something, first of all, man, do they just like, yeah, we're just going to watch Natalie piss. Like we're just, like,
yeah, if you were that prude that thought that Psycho was bad for showing a flushing toilet, well, this movie, the water could have been a little more yellow, maybe, to be a little more believable, but because she hasn't really been drinking much, but toilet paper and everything.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Piss and wipe. And we're just, I was like, why are we doing this? It kind of reminds me of, there's this game series that I've been playing with my friend on Rush Does Gaming called Fears to Fathom. And one of the components of this game, is peeing. Your character, like in various forms, has to use the restroom, and man or woman or whatever your genitalia might be, you will see people pissing. And it's like a component of the game, multiple times an entry. And why is this part of it? And so when this scene happens, you're like, Jesus Christ, it's like I'm playing Fears to Fathom. Like, oh, like Natalie has to stop what she's doing to take a leak. I get it, but holy fuck. And now she is going to text Gavin and be like, where are you, bro? I like, you look at their text chain starts with him saying Hellfest, and then her just responding Hellfest. It's so funny.
And she's like, hey, asshole, you on your way? Or something like that. One thing I do like about the peeing scene is that a guy can just like hang a leak wherever. It's not a big thing, but for a girl, it's a whole production. Like you kind of have to have a stall. You can't like, yeah. So it works. But with her sending that text, we know that the killer has used that cell phone once to say, I've got a surprise for you. Spoiler alert, the surprise is that Gavin is dead and that he has a cell phone. But yeah. So when she texts him, we hear the whoop on her end, and then we hear the dee-doo in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that he's in there. Now, in the world, we could imagine that that's a coincidence. You can go sit in the mall and send a text. Wait a second, you'll probably hear someone's phone chirp. But it happens twice. So even she catches on that the killer is in the bathroom.
He fucks with the door, and she slides underneath the bathroom stall. Gross. But
yeah, super gross.
But
and like he wouldn't see her doing that. He's standing right there, and she can't wiggle worm her way underneath the bathroom stall without making noise, even though he's rattling the door. It's not deafening.
There's something about the other that the stalking just seems like such a part of it, though. doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Again, that's how come it kept reminding me of The Strangers and Bagman particularly. It's like, I got you right where I want you. I know this haunt like the back of my. I was probably here watching it being constructed, and I come to these haunts every year. I know every nook and cranny. You're not escaping, and I don't need to kill you right now. In fact, it's not really fun for me if I do, because I feel like you're not scared enough. And for a person who is making fun of my cool haunt for cool dudes, you aren't scared enough. And so I'm going to perpetuate that. And I'm even going to make it seem futile, because when the security guard comes here, he is going to be, and this is very realistic. It's not like in other films in which, why is people whose job it is to keep patrons safe not taking this, like a girl in a bathroom at a fucking carnival, basically, like, you know, it's a haunt, but you're in a fucking fair, basically, said that a man fucking basically attacked her, and a man who's stolen your photos, stolen your friend's phone, is using your friend's phone. That is well beyond the capacity of what a haunt actor should be doing. But he says, you know, I get this call like fucking 10 times a night. Like it's like,
Yeah.
you want to be
Did he hurt you? Are you hurt? Like, are you hurt? That's his number one litmus test. Can you describe him? Not really. Her suggestion is, well, shut down the park. And I guess he hears that 10 times a night too.
So he's very dismissive, but it's in a realistic sort of way. Now, her friends not wanting to go also to a degree makes sense. I will say that if I had a criticism about her friend's behavior towards her, it's like, Brooke, you've established, should understand when her friend is scared from the haunt because she's not really a haunt person, and your friend is genuinely afraid. And at the very least, let's find Gavin, let's get everybody back together. We can see it's okay. And let's just actually leave. Now, eventually, when this person is in the bathroom, Brooke is very much defending Natalie and being like, this is a fucking problem. And so they do want to leave, but yet things press on.
Well, they can't go anywhere because it's showtime. Taylor is in her glory.
Do you ever listen to a Q&A or something like this where you get the sense that the person speaking from the audience or the volunteer is just trying to get, like, I'm going to get discovered. This is my moment to get discovered. I'm going to get a podcast out of this, at least a podcast. I'm going to pitch my new project while I'm doing this. And yeah, she is yes-anding Tony Todd, a welcome sight. He looks great, lots of high energy. And I was embarrassed that I did not realize the whole time that the narration going on inside the mazes is Tony Todd's voice. It's not until after you see Tony Todd, you're like, oh, that's who's saying all this fucking shit.
That's why it sounds so awesome. But, you know, one thing about this scene is that it made me realize when we had left Saunders, the first and last and only time I've been there, we just caught at the very tail end of the stage show, and it was a fire act, and I love fire acts, and it was like we watched a little bit of that on our way out. I was like, you know what? I got to watch more of these stage shows. Really, I got to take a break at Saunders Farm and watch some of the performers, because not that they're going to be Tony Todd level awesome, but it's fun, and I liked it, and I liked this shtick because we've got him introducing the executioner. And would you expect, like all the other weapons in this goddamn park, would you expect that the guillotine would be sharp at all, Wes, or heavy?
No. In fact, I think it's kind of buck wild that the it's kind of buck wild that that it's a real blade, or that it could be something that could be potentially dangerous because you are putting a patron in there. This was that moment that I was telling you that Cassie like was 100% on Taylor's side, because Taylor is not just going to be a theater kid who's trying to, it's actually kind of sad to see her like try to joke her way out of the situation and kind of slowly come to realize that she's in a lot of danger. Because guess what, Lids? Our executioner in this scene, double mask reveals another mask. That'd be hard to breathe in there.
It would be.
The only unrealistic thing about this is also funny is that the other genuinely seems like he doesn't really understand. He's as surprised as anyone that she was not decapitated by this fucking guillotine. And she manages to get herself out of there and escape like a thief in a night. When you're running through a crowd, I believe that Taylor has like done her job about alerting people, but it's so like when she's running through the crowd, she's like, help me. It's so funny when we're seeing these scenes in Hellfest in which characters are running to literally dozens of people that are standing around you all the time and like grabbing them by the fucking scruff and being like, help me, throwing them aside and then running 10 feet over and like grabbing another person, help me, then running again and like, help me. Like what? Like let someone help you. You can't keep running, screaming in people's face saying, help me, and then running 5 more feet to get someone else to help you. No one's going to help you in that situation. Like,
no, they're not closed doors of your neighbors' houses in Halloween. These are people that can help you. They could probably, or at least, explain what's going on. But then again, she has been screaming for quite some time because they closed the curtain on that stage when she was screaming for help and no one could hear her. You notice how deafeningly silent it got as soon as they closed the curtain? People are 10 feet away. A huge crowd is 10 feet away. But yeah.
With security, by the way.
Yeah. And they're all, because, of course, Natalie's freaking out there. So everyone's yelling and screaming, but can we hear a thing? No. This is much like that first scene where somebody's getting stabbed in front of other people and someone's not sure if it's really real. I mean, our characters are sure it's really real. Taylor, for hell, sure it's really real. And it's just a brutal scene, and I really enjoy it because this is how a public stabbing would probably play out.
Seriously, truly. I love how the writers cared so little for Quinn that they just, once they kill Taylor, blink and you'll miss it, and now Quinn's dead too. And it really kind of strikes me as they were making the movie and maybe they got to the point where they realized we might have had drawn things out a little bit too much, and now we have extra characters and we're running out of time. So Quinn, you just get double stabbed and you're dead. So he kind of gives like a twofer, and it is like a public stabbing. People are scattered, people are everywhere, security's fucking going crazy, and now we're down to our final 2. I already made the joke about, I think this is the exit, and they go into a ride, which is bonkers to me. I'm shocked, Lydia, that our final 2 was going to be Brooke and Natalie. Now, Natalie, obviously, the movie, she's the star. She's the final girl. You could tell from a mile away that this character is going to be the one that you're going through. But again, here we are with Brooke until I realized, like, they're talking about going to Spain. This is all about their relationship. This is about being friends in high school and drifting apart in college and trying to reconnect. And any way that you can, new friend groups with old friend groups, merging that world and life moving on. And so that to rekindle the friendship, they discuss going to Spain to it's just going to be us, just like the old days. But now here's a better way to bond, Lydia, through trauma and getting chased through an elaborate maze. Now our killer, the other, basically the jig is up. People know what he looks like in terms of what costume he's wearing. So they're like tackling people who are dressed the same way as him. Now, the camera lets us know that that's not him by looking at the boots, always looking down at the boots. So that's how we tell who our killer is. And this sequence, I fucking really love this, because this is some sharp writing in which now Natalie's ability to analyze the haunts and the mazes and how the things work, annoying at first, making her a bummer at first, now key to survival, which always seems to be the true destiny of every bummer in a party. They're probably going to be the ones that survive things.
I try to not be that bummer person. I love haunts. I do. And I love getting kind of into the mood for the haunt area. But I also like turning to my right and seeing a character and saying, hello. And if she was in a good mood, that's probably what she'd be. Instead, she is a bummer. She's not enjoying the cool haunt for cool dudes the way that she ought to. And it's helpful here. And I think that this sort of thing is also helpful when you're older or somebody who is very scaredy of the haunts. You can say, like, see that laser? Don't trigger it. It'll turn everything on in this room. Don't step close to this thing. Don't step close to that thing, and the thing won't pop out and jump at you or whatever. If it looks like you're supposed to reach out and grab it, don't, because something will happen that will be scary. They're using this to really good effect, because as you triggering the rooms, you can tell where you are in the haunt. They find a back room or a passageway in between walls in a haunt, which often are very easy. Like, they use it to good effect in Hell House 2 as well. Not Hell House 2, but all the Hell Houses.
Yes.
Where there is like a door that doesn't look like a door in between walls where people can sit and watch the action and watch people get scared and do things like you suggest, that they let one another know who's about to piss their pants and that you should scare them. And it's funny. So that sort of room they found, because they go a few rooms in, they're triggering everything. Brooke's freaking out because she's terrified. Mm-hmm. Natalie trying to be like smart about it. Like, okay, if we back up and hide here, he'll trigger the rooms, and he does. And we hear him going through the haunt. We also see him find the fireman's axe, which is just right there, stuck in a dummy. There's a room of fucking weapons entirely that they walk through, and they come back to that room when they're looking, they should be anyway, looking for a weapon or a tool, because he takes the knob off of the great big heavy wooden door that traps you in this particular maze. Like, seriously, you can probably use her cat ear headband to open that door. You could use your very, very adorable broken heart twinsy necklaces to try and get that door open. I'm sure you could have done something to get that door open and got out of there. Instead, you're going to confront him?
There were several times throughout the picture in which I thought maybe Brooke probably should have taken off the cat ears. It seemed a little inappropriate. It's like they're cowering in a dark corner, and she is wide-eyed and tears down her face, and the only thing I could concentrate on was those cat ears. I was like, they're very fun and they're very festive and they're very cute, but you know, when she was about to throw hands, when she thought that the other had just stolen photos, the first thing she did was take off the cat ears. I'm not cat ear Brooke right now. I'm mad Brooke, but she's still cat ear Brooke. But all that to say, they can't go back. They have to go through, just like everything in life, Lydia. The only way out is through. And so you get yourself into this situation, and this is really fucking good. When the other is stalking Brooke, now Brooke, by the way, has gotten a horrible injury on her leg from the axe, and so she's hobbled, and she's there was a point in which I was like, did Natalie straight up abandon her? I was like, friends forever, oopsie, ooh, actually maybe not. You'll die knowing that I can live. I hope that's enough. But the killer is not. The killer is.
That was Great. Yeah. I just keep thinking about their cute twinsy broken heart necklaces, but yeah.
It's like, I'll take this. She pulls it off her corpse. This is for my new best friend later. I won't tell her where this comes from. Don't worry. That'll be depressing. Anyway, bye. But she uses the jump scares that the killer, by the way, is not fazed by whatsoever. He knows that when he walks in the lasers, clowns and oogie boogies and zombies are going to come out like little rubber dummies and shit like that. But one of them, Lids, hides Natalie herself. And she is going to use that to get the drop on him. She is going to fucking stab this guy. And the wildest thing is how deep, like, go back and watch that scene. That blade she has is fairly deep, and she punctures him right up under the heart into the lungs. Now, I'm not saying she stabbed him in the heart, but she definitely stabbed him in the lung, which makes the ending sequence fucking ridiculous to me.
I never thought of that he would have a small sucking chest wound, or he would have a collapsed lung at the very least, which is not comfortable. Least.
And he is down for the count. He ain't no Jason Voorhees, Lydia. He's done after the one stab, and he collapses forward, and then all the lights start coming up, and the fucking police and security pizza pie cut into the room, and everyone's going crazy, and we're all panicked, and things are slowing down, and all that kind of shit. And then boom, hard cut, blankets, Coco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good quality blankets. I might add. Chris pointed that out. They are not those shiny survival blankets that you get for $1.99 at Canadian Tire. Mm-hmm. They are like good wool army issue blankets. Like they are good cozy blankets.
Trunk blankets, like the stuff that you would like keep with you just in case you're out and more out. We have trunk blankets in the back of the car, and they're super thick wool ones like that, because you never know. What if we get stuck one day in the car and we need to like huddle in for warmth or something?
And they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean he wasn't in there?
They got his DNA at least. I mean, they would have to. They didn't say that in the movie, but there's a huge puddle of blood. So, I mean, it could be one of those instances in which this killer has no criminal background, but he probably does.
Or if he's a non-secretor, does that count for blood? If you don't have your DNA in your bodily fluids?
Maybe. It's hard to say. But we're not getting out of here with, I was convinced that it was going to be like 1 year later, or or it's going to cut to, I was like, I don't really think they have the budget for this, but maybe they could fake it. I thought maybe we were going to get Brooke and Natalie in Spain, and all of a sudden she's going to be like sightseeing, and she's going to take her sunglasses off, and who's standing over there in Spain with backlit? It's just a guy going like with his mouth and stuff like that. But no, we get a different sort of reveal. And have you ever seen the slasher film ATM?
No, and it's on my list, and I really want to.
Okay, I won't spoil the end of that then. And for our listeners, actually, be kind of shitty too. There's kind of a similar take about, they will never reveal the identity of this killer, but they're going to reveal something about this killer that you'll find pretty interesting. And you are going to have this killer come back, and it's almost like a scene out of The Collector. Like he's got all these masks and stuff like that, and he closes it, and you see the devil mask from the previous year. You see he's putting up his death mask and all these different masks, and you can tell that he's either like, he is changing his mask to blend in with that year's theme of the haunt. And so you know that he does this all the time. He's like Slasher Claus. He comes once a year and delivers death to all the uncool boys and girls that don't like Halloween as much as he does.
I love this guy. I love him more and more.
So he shows, and who's there sleeping on a couch but a little blonde white girl. And she's like, Daddy, did you bring me anything? And of course he did. He brought one of the stuffies, the Taylor stuffy that I think he stole from Asher. So
it might have blood on it.
Yeah, it might have a little bit of blood on it. That's fine. It's cute. I like it. I like the color scheme of it. The black and red is adorable. And then we cut and credits and we're getting out of here. And it just indicates like, what? This killer could be a family man? Yeah, of course. Like there's tons of serial killers that have completely normal lives. So it's not that interesting of a reveal, but I do like their commitment to the bit. I respect the fact that they never bothered to reveal this character's name. They never have him speak unless he is doing his all around the mulberry bush rhyme, or sometimes it would almost appear that Tony Todd is his voice, because sometimes it looks like he's like what the narration over the haunts were saying fits in to what the other could be thinking. And I wonder if there's almost like a Grand Guignol aspect to it, where he's just very theatrical and bloody and like and all that kind of shit.
There really is a Grand Guignol leaning in one part, because the mouth to the Hellfest section of Hellfest, the haunt where you sign the waiver for, has the same mouth as Le Théâtre d'Enfer that was where the Grand Guignol was held in Paris.
That has to be intentional, right? Like they definitely did that on purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, it's sort of a motif with a lot of Halloween-y hell things and haunts and stuff, to have like a big scary mouth. But this particular one looks exactly like the old entrance that apparently doesn't exist anymore.
This movie's fun, Lydia. It's just
It is fun. It is fun. And I think that the point of one of the writers, because this went through a bit of the mill. It was a script that was written by 3 people or something like that. And it went into that big vault of scripts that Hollywood just plucks from whenever they jolly well please. And they get someone else to doctor it. So Seth was the script doctor, it seemed. He rewrote the script into an original script. So the other writers are credited, but it only pulled from that original script in many ways. So this story, as we see it, is his script. And then because it has a leading lady and other ladies, they had a female writer go over it and tweak some stuff. And then they had another writer. I don't know for what reason. They just felt they needed another writer. So they just piled fucking writers onto this, which isn't abnormal. But from what I understand, this is like his vision. There are some deleted scenes that were just maybe more brutal that are on the discs that we own somewhere that I'm going to have to check out, because I didn't take a chance to look at them, and I want to see if they're there. But apparently those are like his babies and they're there as well. So maybe it was just a little more brutal, or maybe it was some character building exists in these deleted scenes that would have been helpful, but it was cut for, I don't know, content or time, one of the two, not really sure. But I liked his take, is that he wanted to have a story that was fun. He likes what Blumhouse is doing. He likes the mid-2000s teen horror cycle. He really likes that sort of fun stuff. As much as there is a place and he likes more brutal horror or classic horror or elevated horror and all that stuff, he just wanted a fun slasher, and this was his contribution. I think he really did very well. Now, I don't know why it wasn't received as well. I don't know if there was something else that was released at the same time. Halloween's a big time for scary movies, and like you said, there is so much more scary movies than there is time in a year, but we were just coming off a real boom of horror at the time, so I don't know why it didn't do better. Is it Taylor? Should we just blame Taylor? The character Taylor was so off-putting that people went, "Don't go see that fucking movie. That was an annoying chick."
If I could intellectualize something that can't really be intellectualized, because in filmmaking there is an adage, there's no such thing as a sure thing. You don't really know what's going to hit. However, you can work within trends. And I think that what Hellfest did at the time, let's go back to 2018. social media, if you can believe it, gang, wasn't even as ubiquitous as it was today. Even just that short amount of time before the pandemic really changed things. We're more online, more aware. Everyone is giving you their niche little tidbits and information and thoughts on everything. So weirder movies that are more experimental or more throwbacks get a lot of attention. I don't think In a Violent Nature works in 2018. It works in 2024 though, because people are not receptive to weird things and there's not enough exposure. You wouldn't have heard about it, for starters. Secondarily, we are coming off a period of time in which Blumhouse is king. Not only are the movies making money hand over fist, the Conjuring universe is still in its prime, but the understanding of what horror was Blumhouse. They are inseparable, and people need to understand that whereas horror never stays the same over the 100 years of cinema and beyond, if you include literature and all that kind of stuff, what is popular and what sells with horror and what people consider to be horror absolutely is going to reflect the zeitgeist at the time. Now, there's going to be older people that remember what it was. There's going to be newer people that are not quite sure. And there's always going to be people like me, annoying contrarians that are like, have you seen this movie from 1932? In 2018, and I say this with absolute confidence, if you did not have a spooky house, a large property, an ornate lawn, light fixtures that when you turn them on, it's an orange glow that illuminates 1 foot around that light and nothing else, heavy shadows, parental trauma, peanut butter chewing children, and ghosts jumping out of every fucking corner, it's not horror. It's just not horror to people. And when films like this came out, people would have been like, ew. Like, because, and I'm not really talking about like horror diehards that love a good slasher and love when things are cheesy or like when things are graphic. They're just like, where's the atmosphere? Where's the social commentary? They want that the Blumhouse A24 elevated horror, or they want hauntings. They want demons. They want devil worship. They want cults. They don't care about this. I think the reason why this film maybe works better now, I can't speak for 2018. I didn't see it then. But I think why this film works now is we are so afraid of the other, not just the character in the film, but just a concept of the person walking in a crowded area, the person walking onto a campus, into a hospital, into a mosque. These are the people that we're afraid of the most right now. That's why this works. And I think that people are ready for this type of horror again. That's fun, throwbacky, but absolutely reflects modern times.
Yeah, you'll have to watch that throwback trailer. The people involved really know what they're doing. Like, they have the original writers of the 3 original writers. One of them was a writer of like The Grudge and a whole bunch of Blumhousian stuff too. And then they have Tony Todd as far as Tony fucking Todd. You got Candyman himself. Bear McCreary does the music. Bear McCreary, that you know from everything from The Walking Dead, when I think his first became a household name, and then most recently Rings of Power, doing his best wall of sound and tension building and dynamic triumphal stuff and creepy fucking scary shit. He's an amazing composer. And then you have Gail Ann Hurd as a producer. And Tucker Tooley was another great horror producer as well. We should have known him from more Blumhousian greats, such as The Nun. But it's the Gail Ann Hurd being a star maker as far as horror television goes. So like, it had so much behind it. It's just crazy to me that it was drowned out by something else or just not noticed, because you're very right. Many people didn't know what a podcast was before the pandemic. A lot of people didn't watch like YouTube and watch review shows, or, you know, you maybe had Netflix. You didn't have every fucking streamer, because during the pandemic, people needed shit to do, I guess, that was in their own homes, because they're so afraid of themselves and others. They can't like possibly entertain themselves for a night. So they had every single streamer and were looking for the best of the best to watch, I guess, or something new, because it was all about new horizons when you're trapped in those four walls for months on lockdown. So yeah, that definitely did change the area, and I still wish it would have gone bigger and done better. Hopefully this Halloween we can all discover something new. If you haven't watched Hellfest, check it out. Check out our new favorite haunt. We talked about it, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I love that film. I think about it often. Mm-hmm. I want to go to more haunts. If there's movies that are like this, let us know, because we both love movies about haunts.
We really do. I've not really watched one that I didn't like. The House is October Built, Hell House LLC. I've now watched all 4 of those films. What a great franchise. Really, really dig those films. Haunt is, again, it's great. And I think that we, like these types of films, the nice thing about being forced to be exposed to each other so much in terms of being online and people trying to generate as much content as they possibly can, people getting way deep into their hobbies and interests, finding out they had an interest in horror when they didn't. Because you hear this again and again, like so many people, especially like I follow Horror Talk on TikTok, and like so many young people are literally watching all of this shit for the first time within the last 4 years. And and that is a direct result of like, fuck it, I'm finally going to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, you know, like, and I think that is just allowing things, and we're seeing so many more interesting ideas, and I'm glad that the Vice-like grip. Listen, this is not a dig against elevated horror. This is not a dig against Blumhouse. You know, they do great work, and I'm infinitely impressed that they seem somehow incapable of failure when it comes to money. And I do respect the business side of filmmaking, but I'm just so glad that the 2024 has just been an embarrassment of riches of weird fucking ideas. And the best thing about cinema, the best thing about Hellfest and all these movies that have come before it, and every movie that will be made afterwards, they're right there waiting for you. You just have to find them. What do we got next for them, Lydia?
Coming up next, we have a special Halloween episode, and it's going to be so special in 2 ways, because we're going to watch the ultimate haunt, in a way, Ghost Watch. It is a seminal British modern War of the Worlds television broadcast that scared the living shit out of an entire nation. I didn't get to share in this shit fest. And I don't mean bad, I mean shit in your pants. It's actually scared. People calling into the studio wondering if the people that were in the show are okay. Ghost Watch, I know somebody who actually watched the original broadcast, so maybe I'll pick her brain a little bit about that. But yeah, it's been on Shudder, it's been streaming, it's been popularized the past couple years, and I think across the pond didn't even know this movie existed. Not only are we going to be bringing this gem to you and discussing it, as we do, we're going to have an in-person show for the first time since just before the pandemic.
Yep, I am going back to my original haunt, which is Lydia's place, so we can do a recording in person. It's going to be really fun. Not only do I miss my friend, gang, I haven't actually been in Lydia's presence that entire time, because I guess like while we're doing the podcast every other week, I do feel that I'm still visiting with you. Like we talk for like an hour before we record typically. So there's that. But we promised Ghost Watch for you last year, and we get to fulfill that promise this year. So I'm really excited for that, because as great as this film is, holy fuck, is the backstory even better. And I would love, no pressure, would love if you are able to talk to your friend about that, because I would love to get some firsthand information, because like many people, I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna fucking act like I'm better than you. Okay? I saw this movie when it came out on Shudder a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But that's the truth of it.
It has become a staple here. I absolutely love it. When I watched it, it was just like, yes, I can get why this had the effect that War of the Worlds did. It caused a pandemic. Pandemonium, more like it. Like, people thought that show was real, and that they got that lightning in a bottle. I don't know what it is with BBC and UK television and radio producers that they can be like, sure, let's trick the public. We'll have everyone believe that we're actually being invaded by aliens, ghosts, whatever it is. Sure. Yeah, let's make it sound like it's really real. Man, I think that's a cool shtick if you can do it. I'll also have a small jar of homemade horseradish for you.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God, gang! Can you hear the elation on my face? Lydia's dad's horseradish, gang. This stuff cured me of a fucking ailment. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh my God. I'm very, very excited. Fuck, you made me so happy with that. You completely derailed me. Fuck it. I'm Wes Knight.
And I'm typical Lydia.
And you've been listening to Dead Air. If you like this show, you can find more episodes and other content on splatterpictures.net, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. We also upload all episodes to YouTube now, if you'd prefer to listen that way. You can find us across social media like Instagram, X, and TikTok, and the show is edited by Lydia Peaver and hosted by Lydia Peaver and me, Wes Knight. We'll see you next time.